pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could just take a moment of silence.
Supervisor Stalin?
Present.
Trustee Gray?
Present.
Trustee Merson?
Present.
Trustee Melody?
Present.
Trustee Severs?
Present.
Highway Commissioner Robinson?
Present.
And Collector Palermo?
Present. Okay, we have quorum. All right, moving on. Any public comments?
No one has signed up.
Last call. And then next on the agenda is approval of minutes from September 8th, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Trustee Melody, second.
I'll second it.
Trustee Marson. Okay, any discussion?
No.
Okay, we have one correction. Unless there's any others, and that was John Robinson was put in the minutes twice. So we'd like to amend the minutes to just remove John Robinson's name from being present. So any motion for that?
Just do a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay.
As amended? Okay.
I'll make that motion. Okay.
I will second.
Severs and Melody. Call the roll.
Supervisor Stalin?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Highway Commissioner Robinson?
Highway Commissioner doesn't.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
Okay. And then moving on, reports from township officials. We'll start with Trustee Melody.
I do not have anything.
Trustee Severs? Nothing at this time. Trustee Gray?
I don't really have a report other than to say I'm glad to see on here that we're establishing the Veterans Committee that we started a couple months ago, and I look forward to ramping that up. So.
Thank you for doing that. And Trustee Merson?
I don't have a report, but just I want to say a couple words. October becomes the playoffs month for both the Homer Stallions and the junior quarters football programs. So I just want to wish them best of luck. Hope they had a great season. It looks like everything's fun out there from what I've seen. But just want to wish them best of luck. And I believe after the season, the cheerleaders start their competition. So want to wish both programs best of luck as well. Homer Athletic Club currently has basketball registrations open. The registrations will close October 15th. If you have any interest or questions, please go to their website, homersports.com, and you can find the information there. And lastly, I would just like to thank all the volunteers that spend their time and their dedication to make these programs a success. A thank you goes out to all you do for these programs. Thank you. That's all I got.
Okay. Clerk O'Brien, do you have anything?
Just bingo. Bingo will be a week from tomorrow. We will not be having bingo in November as we have a conference. And then December, we do have our Christmas party planned for December 9th. And that will be in Lamont, and that will be at the Crystal Gardens, same as it has been. And we will have entertainment. And other than that, I think that's about it. And we will be voting further down in the agenda. We had our senior committee meeting last week, so we'll be voting on those members. And anyone else wants to join, feel free.
Okay, and Commissioner Robinson?
Yeah, just real quick, we're winding up the summer projects, and they had some last-minute culverts replaced, and they're starting to get everything geared up for fall work before winter, and then getting things ready for hopefully we don't have that winter we all been waiting for. But we've had some mild winters, and hopefully we have another mild winter and move forward from there.
Okay, Assessor Morella is not here tonight, and then so our collector, no report. Okay, and then I have a long one again. Sorry, guys. Well, our new maintenance foreman started, and I just think he's doing a great job. You couldn't see it because it was dark here. He's painted the pillars in the parking lot and the pillars around the flag. He had the latrine is fixed over at Trantina, so that is open now. He's been working on the drinking fountain, and by the time it's fixed, it'll be closed for the season, but it will be up in the spring. And then we have parts and orders for the swings. And Morris Park has been cleaned up. Still needs some attention for the pond. Work's being started on this building, and so for repairs, they're going gangbusters, and I'm really pleased with that. The Eagle Scout had presented his plan for benches around the fire pit. That's in the process. We're looking at maybe getting a different fire ring for the fire pit at Trantina. The Lockport Junior Porters had their bonfire. It all seemed to go pretty well. And one thing is that we are looking at is getting signs that say no ATVs, or what exactly the wording should be to include like electric bikes and that for all of our properties. I met with Torma, our insurance representatives, so we're reviewing our coverage, and we'll have something at our November meeting to approve a loss control policy. General assistance seems to still be taking a lot of my time, and I'm looking at possibly making an agreement with another township or hiring somebody to come in just like 2 times a month to address those as needed. We did purchase some software that's helping us keep organized, so that's good. 143rd Street, last month we passed a resolution opposing the compromise that the county proposed for widening from 5 lanes from Golden Oak to Parker. Unfortunately, it didn't pass. It passed for them. They didn't want to listen to us. The mayor also was at that meeting, and so the battle is still going, and we would just encourage residents to write to their state and federal representatives, because it is using state and federal funding for that project. Also, there was some conversation about grants on Facebook, and I just feel the need to address that. I'm not going to go on Facebook and get into back and forth arguments with people. It just doesn't really solve, and you can't control what's factual and what's not. When we took office here, last year, the previous administration, there were 2 different grants that were active. One was for Founders Crossing senior housing, and that grant was for $508,000. And they did not expend $40,000 of that grant. So because they didn't meet the deadlines, $40,000 was lost. And the county chose not to allow us to be awarded another grant this year because of that grant management. And I don't even know if money was offered. So, and then on that same token, with the Civic Center, there was a grant for $500,000, and that was a facility water service grant, and that was to fund the well and the septic system for the Civic Center. And they, what was done with the project is they put it into phases. The original phase 1 was to include the septic system, and that was the understanding of the grantor, that they would be funding the septic system. They closed out phase 1 in February, March, and paid off the general contractor. And the grant people were not really fully aware of that, so they thought the septic system was finished. So there's $100,000 that is not spent
in that grant, and we are trying to recoup, to get that $100,000 so we can put in and finish the septic system. I'm waiting for word from them, but we haven't heard it. So why are we not applying for grants? The grant deadline for this year was in March. We took office in May. So now we are probably entering a new grant application season with October. Usually it's like from October to March. And I don't know, with the shutdown and everything, I haven't heard what grants are available, but we will always apply when we can find a grant. So I just wanted to address the concerns there. And we'll also be talking more about funding sources for the Civic Center later on in the agenda. So that concludes my report. And moving on to action items. Approval of bills for payment. So if I could have a motion to consider approval of payment of all bills for September 2025. Certificate of deposit, equipment and building, Founders Crossing bond, Founders Crossing General, General Assistance, Open Space, Park, Road and Bridge, and Townhomes.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Gray?
I'll second it.
Second by Trustee Melody. Any discussion? Okay, do you like to call roll?
Supervisor Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye. And just one note on that, we are now halfway through our fiscal year, so this is a good time to be looking at the budget and where we are at, and we will be preparing our levy is due, I believe, in December, so our next meeting we will be discussing the budget in more further detail. Okay, Township Official of Illinois, Resolution 250 years. So approval of Resolution 2025-1006, Res 1. It's a resolution of the Township of Homer in support of the Illinois America 250 commemoration. So that's in 2026. We're going to be celebrating our country's 250th anniversary, as well as Homer Glen is going to be celebrating its 25th years as a village. So, Tammy, do you want to read the resolution first before motion?
Thank you. Okay. A resolution of the Township of Homer in support of the Illinois America 250 commemoration. Whereas the United States of America will commemorate its 250th anniversary on July 4th, 2026, marking a historic milestone in the nation's history. And whereas on July 4th, 1776, the Second Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence, asserting the American colonies' freedom from British rule and laying the foundation for the principles of democracy and self-governance. And whereas the U.S. Semi-Quincentennial Commission, known as the America 250 Commission, was established by Congress in 2016 to plan and orchestrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, aiming to engage all Americans in commemorating this historic event through educational initiatives. Whereas the Illinois America 250 Commission was established to develop, encourage, and execute an inclusive commemoration and observance of the founding of the United States of America and Illinois' imperative role in the nation's history, and whereas the Illinois America 250 Commission encourages communities, libraries, schools, local governments, townships, historical societies, cultural institutions, and individuals of all ages to develop inclusive commemorations that reflect on Illinois' role in the nation's history, and whereas recognizing and supporting the Illinois America 250 Commission will help ensure a meaningful and educational commemoration for all residents and future generations. And whereas the commemoration provides an opportunity to reflect on the state's historical significance, honor the achievements of its people, and inspire civic engagement. And whereas the Township of Homer in Will County hereby formally supports the Illinois America 250 Commission and its mission to commemorate our nation's 250th anniversary. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Township of Homer in Will County expresses its support for the Illinois America 250 Commission and encourages all Illinois Township communities to organize and participate in local events leading up to and culminating on July 4th, 2026 to celebrate America's 250th anniversary.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Severs,
I'll second it.
second trustee Melody.
Okay. Supervisor Stalin?
Any discussion?
No.
Okay, go ahead, call.
Supervisor Stalin?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
Okay, approval of appointments to the senior committee. Okay, I do want to say a big thank you to Clerk O'Brien, who's taken on the task of organizing our senior committees and events. I would just like to state the purpose of the senior committee is to plan and manage senior activities, execute events and activities for the senior community throughout the year, senior outings and programs, coordinate, provide educational programs of interest to seniors, recommend communication strategies for providing information to the public, recommend communication strategies for receiving community input and consensus, and partner with other organizations to provide senior services. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the appointment of the following individuals to the senior committee. Well, Tammy O'Brien is the chair and has already been appointed. We're looking at Missy Shandarana, Teresa Casanda, Regina Robinson, and Sharon Squeeze, and then Sue Stein would serve as execution.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Marson?
I'll second.
Trustee Seepers. Okay. Any discussion?
Is this the end of the appointments to this committee, or are you still looking for additional?
We can always have more.
Thank you for that question. All of our committees, we will welcome additional committee members. We have not reached a saturation point. So if you are out in the community, we do have a volunteer application at the Township Hall and online. If you could submit that, we would welcome your participation. Okay.
Supervisor Stalin?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Passes. Welcome, ladies.
Okay, thank you for volunteering.
Yes.
And then approval of appointments to the Veterans Committee. And this is a new committee. Do you want to say anything on this?
You want to start?
Okay. So the background for this is Homer Township has 1,578 veterans, according to the 2023 census report. Veterans Committee will help ensure that those who have served are recognized, supported, and never forgotten. At the July Township Board meeting, we appointed Trustee Keith Gray as the chair of the Veterans Committee, and the Homer Township Veterans Committee is a voluntary advisory committee. The committee structure will be 7 members, all members to reside within the boundaries of Homer Township, 1 member to serve as a chair, 1 member to serve as a vice chair, and the vice chair will be chosen by the committee members and is responsible for chairing the committee should the chair be absent. And 1 member would serve as the recording secretary. So right now the monthly meetings are planned to be held here at the Town Hall on the 2nd Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. And the proposed mission statement is, the mission of the committee is to advocate for present and past veterans of the township and to promote and highlight the service dedication and sacrifices that the veterans have made for the community and the nation. Vision of the committee is to educate, empower, and engage our veterans as best as we can, to be a valuable resource in helping them improve their quality of life, and to create a community awareness of the historical significance of veterans and their contributions. The stated goals of the Veterans Committee are to foster greater understanding and appreciation for the veteran community and increase visibility of veterans and veterans issues within the community. And additional goals are to inform the veteran community of available services, programs, and resources from the county, state, and federal governments, and provide sources and advocate for issues important to veterans and their families. And we will strive to organize and sponsor informational seminars on veterans resources, assist and collaborate with veterans groups and organizations, promote services related to veterans, mental health and wellness, and sponsor events honoring veterans. So we have the chair, Keith Gray, and we would like to appoint Dave Sinkus and Tammy O'Brien as members, and then I would serve as ex officio. And again, there are openings. Would you like to add anything more to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, our first meeting won't be until the second Wednesday of November, but we'll probably do something informal before that, only because Veterans Day is coming up, and we obviously want to have at least a mention on social media, things of that nature, as well as we're going to assist with the village. The village for the last 4 or 5 years has been doing these veterans boxes where they hand out a box of a lot of community stuff, like community businesses and donors put stuff together to honor their service, and then they're delivered out to all of the veterans within Homer Glen. It's going to now expand to all of Homer Township, so we're going to assist them. We're obviously just getting up on our feet, so we'll do the best we can, but we'll ultimately probably take that over as well. So, and it'll be nice to start planning some other events, maybe in coordination with the local American Legion, which is in Marion Village, as well as the other two that are in Lockport, the VFW and American Legion. Try and do some things in coordination with them, since we obviously have residents that are in Lockport that might be going more Lockport-based things. As well as, Sue and I talked, Supervisor Steinle and I talked, the village used to put on the Mike hike for the longest time, which was to honor Mike Oliveri, who was killed, the local boy. And that has kind of waned in the last few years, so maybe there's an opportunity there to resurrect some things like that. So, and maybe even use it on some of our properties, some of the township properties, to start to utilize those a little bit better. So we do have some plans. It'll be nice to get the rest of the committee together, get some other people. So again, to the camera, to anybody at home or out there who wants to apply, please submit an application, and we'll definitely consider it, because we're going to need some more people. So that's all.
Supervisor Steinle?
Do we have a motion?
Okay, we got a motion? I'm sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We had a motion before the discussion.
Okay. All right. Supervisor Steinle? Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Stevers?
Aye. Okay. Thanks for that, Dutch. Okay. We did seniors, we did veterans, and now we have, we did appoint the Open Space Civic Center Committee back in the August meeting, and we would like to add an additional member to that committee, and that's Regina Robinson. So Regina is a master gardener, and I'm sure she'll have some great ideas for the Trantina Farm and what we can do to enhance the beauty of the Civic Center. And so if I could have a motion to approve the appointment of Regina Robinson to the Open Space Civic Center Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Melody.
Very excited. Master Gardener,
Gardener Masters. Sorry, Nancy's too.
It's happening right now.
Okay, Mom.
Okay. Supervisor Steinle?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Stevers?
Aye.
Passes.
Okay. Okay, moving on. The next item is approval of a line item transfer of a budget appropriation. And in the Founders Crossing general budget, it was created at a point when we had one employee that was single, didn't have a family on the insurance. So when the insurance was budgeted in the line item, it doesn't cover enough now because we've transferred a different employee into that fund that has a family. And it is kind of surprising how expensive insurance has become, and as well as the rates are going up. So what we would like to do is move $10,000 from the 990 contingency fund into the Founders Crossing 708 line item health insurance. So I'll read the motion. Is there a motion to approve a line item transfer of the amount of $10,000 from 990 contingency in the Founders Crossing general budget, Founders Crossing general fund, to 708 health insurance in the Founders Crossing general budget, Founders Crossing general fund?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Gray?
I'll second it.
Second, Trustee Severs?
Okay.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that, this is the second time we've had to move money around, and obviously we didn't have a lot of input on the budget when we came into office. It was May. We had to approve this thing, I think, at the meeting in June. But it's things like this that, as we roll into the next budget season, I hope that all of us up here will, take an active interest in this and start to look at some of these line items. It is pretty dry. It's obviously a lot of pages of numbers and stuff, but this is where, I think that the residents and the voters really expect us to do our homework and do our due diligence. Some of these things we can't forecast for, and maybe we should ask some more questions about that. I don't know if that's ever been done in the past, but I know I'll certainly do that, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. So.
And I think those were, I think it's very good to ask those questions. You had called earlier today, and I did find out some information. We're fully transparent. For a person that doesn't have a family member, it's $898 a month for insurance. If they have a spouse, it's $2,398. If they have a family with children, it's $3,200. So that is why, the person didn't have children. That's a hefty, big change in insurance, and maybe that's something we look at in the next fiscal year.
So is this for the year then, or is it just one time?
Well, this transfers through the rest of the fiscal year.
Through the rest of the fiscal year, which are...
Well, it's a one-time transfer. It would cover what's in there now, and then
Okay, and then when do we...
March 31st is the end of our fiscal year.
Okay, and then for the health insurance, the ones that renegotiated
That's a good question. It's December 1st.
December 1st, so obviously they potentially change.
Correct.
Might change, it's okay. Okay, so now we'll hit going forward, like he was saying, we'll have the budget for 2 employees as opposed to one going forward for this account.
Well, no, there's only one employee. It's just that they had a family on the insurance policy. So it raised the rate quite a bit. Okay.
You gotta vote.
Yes, call the roll.
Supervisor Stein? Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Merson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
And Trustee Severs?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then on to old business, Civic Center update. In our packets, we have, I want to say thank you to Jason. Attorney, helped us research some of our funding sources that we can use to complete the Civic Center. And this is just for discussion only tonight. This was just included in the packet. So just to give us, I don't know this whole thing, but some funding options that are available with changing land status, okay? There's grants, any remaining project money from the original bond is still in the fund. So we have
That's the balance, right?
very like $300,000 left in that fund. There's grants at IGAs. The program anticipated using state grant monies alongside bond proceeds. And we did, as I mentioned earlier, have that one grant for this sewer and septic. General township appropriations for components like development, rehabilitation, and renovation in the program record, we can use general town funds. I guess that's what that means.
Yes.
Okay. And then if we were to have events or programs in the Civic Center, we could collect user fees. We could borrow money from the bank without a referendum, and that we would have to, that amount, whatever it is, would have to be repaid within 10 years. Is there a limit to that amount?
No, there's nothing in the statute as to how much you can take out. It's really how much the bank would give you for the particular use that you're asking.
How much we can service through our regular appropriation, right? Because we're not issuing a separate levy for that.
Correct.
So we'd have to find that money in our regular appropriation. So depends on how much you can squeeze out of your annual budget.
Right.
To service it.
So,
Okay. Are we open for questions, or are you still?
yeah, no, if you want to go ahead and
Yeah,
interject
so
something as I go through this.
since we obviously don't get a credit rating because we're a township, would they look at our bond rating? Do we know if we go to a bank?
I don't know that they would look at our bond rating for a loan. They would require collateral, probably have to mortgage the property.
So, right now, we know we spent 2.3 million on that property. So would that be, so I assume we have to get it appraised and whatever the appraised value is, it's probably what we would like to guess. Could we use other properties or other assets within the township? Or would it only have to be that property?
You could encumber other assets. It wouldn't have to be limited to the open space property.
Okay.
Okay, moving down, we could borrow money from the Township Road District, but that money would have to be paid back within.
Was that the one that had you pay back within a year?
Yes.
Yes.
Which would be
Yeah.
probably difficult to do.
Yeah. And then there's, we could run a new proposition for a new open space go bond to, similar to what we did in 1999. And so there's always that option that we would have to levy a tax for. And I'm sorry, I can't take questions from the audience. And also, additional funding could be unlocked by designating less than 25 acres of that property as a park. And then we would be able to use park funds for that. And there's like 39 acres, I think, is what's 30-something acres that's on that north side of 151st, that is the part of the Trinity Farm. So if you were to look at the barn area and the playground area, that would all probably be within 25 acres
Or less.
or less. Correct.
Okay, so there's no minimum, right? It's-
That's correct, yeah, it just can't be greater than
Greater
20,
than
than
25.
25. Yep.
And then township park funds. Say that again. Township park bonds would be another way to do it. Is if that was designated as a park, then you would go to referendum again for a park bond. And then
So if we had that designated area as park, I'm trying to find the park budget right here, I can't find it at the moment. Could we just use, would we then be able to use funds within the parks fund?
Yeah, as long as they weren't already earmarked for some other purpose, like if there were existing bonds that had already been earmarked.
Right,
But
right.
as long as that was not the case, then you can use the general park funds.
Because if we,
here, 300
Retroactive or
This page in here.
what page?
retroactive?
No, I
We already have a park fund and we levy in that
It's
park
that
fund.
page in the
Right.
next to it then.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, so I think if we designated it a park property, then we can access those park funds that are already there. I don't think we would have to wait
Until the next levy.
Right.
I was thinking, because we only have essentially half the park as it is now. We have $323,000 in the park fund. Revenue so far is just under 40. I don't know if that's just for the year, if that's what we're going to get for the year, how much, I don't know what we collect annually from that. Which one?
I think it's about 130 for levy.
Levy per year.
Is it about 130 for the levy for parks? If I remember correctly.
It's 100,000.
I wonder if it's some combination of, right? I mean, we wouldn't want to use the whole amount, but if we were to use some of that plus continue with the levy, plus money that we have in the open space fund as it is, that we can somehow get there without having to take on any new bonds, new levies, or even new debt, or we would lessen the amount of debt needed, you know, but I'm just throwing out numbers here. Instead of the 550 that we think we need, maybe we only need 100,000 of a loan that we can pay back easily over 10 years without or borrow from the road commission, to kind of get us there a little bit of piecemeal with the money we have, and then not needing significant new debt and or any new levies.
I agree with a lot of that. I don't necessarily think to use all of like what's in the park fund.
Correct.
We don't want to zero out any accounts. But you're right. I think that we squeeze together everything we can and see how much we can ameliorate, how much we do have to go out and borrow. But I think it's probably going to be some sort of combination of those things. I mean, a lot of these things on here, and Jason, we certainly do appreciate your putting this all together for us. Some of them are non-starters for us.
Yeah.
They're going to be new tax increases, new taxes or tax increases, and we ran on no tax increase for this, so we're very cognizant of that.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of the park overlay, so that we can make sure that the taxes that are in place right now, the park fund that we do already have, we can start using that in a more expanded way and start to take advantage of that. So, yeah.
So, and then there's one last, okay, so then there's optional complementary funding source, which would be a community building revenues. Is that like issuing another?
You wouldn't, for that particular set article of the township code, you can issue bonds, but I put it in the memo, but you have to have a population of 25,000 or less, which we do not. So that wouldn't be an option for us anyways, but you could do it and you would be able to access an additional tax levy. But again, that would be creating a new tax that we don't currently have.
Okay, so really, we couldn't, if that doesn't apply, I'm not going to go into all of these things, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then...
Sorry, so one other question on that. Are we still at that same number, do we think, of what it takes, the 550-ish or so from Landmark to get it to where we need to go when we're talking about these numbers? Or I know we've been talking to contractors or Landmark itself, I think, directly, but...
Yeah, so, honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I am feeling it's higher, quite honestly.
Plus the
Just
fact-
from when I've been talking to people. What's next, what I have next was the public viewing of the building. And we do have a video that's in a draft mode. It needs to be spruced up because we would like to post the video on Facebook and our website. And hopefully that will be done in a week or two, maybe sooner. And then the other item following that public viewing is possibly doing a tours of the building on October 18th. We have talked to the fire district and the village and our insurers, and we're thinking of opening up the building for, you'd have to be scheduled tours, that you have to sign up for a tour. We couldn't just have 1,000 people show up and walk them through the building. So we would like to discuss that. We have an open space committee meeting tomorrow night because of the holiday. Normally that committee would meet before the board meeting, but here tonight we're meeting before the committee meets, and they might have some ideas on that. So I don't know, how do you, I think just to ask you for consensus, how you feel about having tours on that day. Maybe 10 to 2, could throw some times out there, see who's available when. I'm looking at parking spots. That would be one of the issues is controlling how many cars. You know, we could put easily 15 cars in that front parking spot, and then there is parking on the side and by the remainder of the park, but you have to know that some people are coming, some people are going, some people are likely to linger and chat. So I'm thinking...
I think it's a great idea to do it. It might be challenging to, coordinate the whole thing, but I think it's a great idea. Everybody, we get asked all the time. People are like, what's this building like? They want to know what it is. I mean, it is unfortunate that all we keep saying is that you can't go in there, But we also keep mentioning at the same time, by the way, you spent $2.3 million on this so far. So I think it's a great idea. I just hope that, however it comes out, I hope people will, sign up to go through it, because it is a great opportunity. It is going to still take us, you can see that we don't know what our financing will look like. We're still waiting to Don's point, where he's asking, if that number still holds. We're still waiting to find out, like you said, if the grant, if we can use up that last $100,000 that was appropriated but not spent. We still want to know if we have access to that. That'll certainly make our burden a little bit easier if we can put it off to that. But if that's not available, then that's just going to be that much harder, as well as some other contingency numbers that aren't in there. I agree with what you said. The number's probably going to go higher. Because, the years I was on the village board, it seemed like every time we put out a project, the numbers always went higher. It seems like, the contractors always talk about, the increasing price of all this, the materials and the labor and everything. And we certainly all see that in regular life. So I think that number will be a little bit up there. But it's good that we're discussing this, and how, everybody's getting collectively, how we can maybe pull money together and look for these opportunities, as well as get the people through the building to see what it's like and see what they want, to hear about it. I mean, right now, even just to get to occupancy, we really can't put in any heavy uses, the basketball things that we're talking about before, but at least people can see what it looks like and what it might house.
Well, here's another question now. So we know we want to get it open and get the public start using it, but then, we have other things at the farm as well, the corn crib, some of the other stuff. I mean, could we incorporate that into what we're funding for opening the Civic Center?
Are we talking about,
It's all I'm trying to
so
say.
is it all on open space property?
Yes.
Part of the open space fund, then yes, you can.
Yeah, so then, maybe we need to take a look at that. Okay, so we know it's $500,000, for example, to finish the project, but the corn crib has to get done. We know it's not safe. We know we probably could add a couple other things to that building there.
The silos.
The silos.
The silos, the other building there as well. So, maybe we find out what the whole grand total is, and if we're going to go after money, we go after the whole thing instead of kind of piecing this all together. Find out, what it's going to cost to, open the Civic Center, what it's going to cost for a corn crib, what it's going to cost for the silo, what it's going to cost. And maybe go that direction, because I think the more we keep on piecemealing this, numbers are going to get skewed, and I think we need to know as to what is our total cost to get the whole project done.
One nice thing about like the corn crib and the barn and the silos, they're probably all historic. So they might skew to grants that are historic in nature, that the big red building wouldn't necessarily be. So, kind of keeping them separate at this time might open up avenues for those to get separate grant opportunities that wouldn't be available for the big tin building. So.
I think we also really need to hear from the community as to how to finish that barn. Like, should it be a gymnasium, or should it be more of a community center, that's geared towards things like the senior events or community organizations to use. Like I don't think that question was really asked well enough with the community. And so to go, can we just get it open? We would like to just get it open. But as far as finishing it, what is that? And what is that going to look like? So do we do a survey, like a survey monkey? Or, paper surveys, or is that something we're asking on these tours? But I feel like we definitely need more community feedback before we can say, what is it really going to cost to finish that building? That's how I feel about it.
I agree. I like the idea of a survey monkey just because it's difficult to get people in a room, various commitments. We have the committee and we can get feedback from various people, but it's hard to get a mass feedback other than on everything you see on Facebook with 10,000 comments, right? But if we were to open up some kind of a survey monkey and put out, I think we'd probably get a good amount of input. In addition to the other things that you mentioned, right? Asking people while they're on the tour and having the committee meetings, et cetera, to get that input. But probably electronically is where you're going to get the most people to respond.
Yeah, and I think we kind of need to hear a little bit before we even do the survey, so we know what kind of questions to really be asking. So that's what I'm going to ask of all of you. Anyone out there, please, just call, email the office at homertownship.com and let us know your ideas for starters. And but it's going to take time, unfortunately, to do that. But in the meantime, we can be looking at these funding options and looking at what we can. As I said, we're 6 months into the fiscal year, so we can look at our budget more carefully and see where can we pull money from in the budget. And as Trustee Gray pointed out earlier, we didn't prepare that budget, and it's misleading because in every category there is grant funding listed as revenue, and there is no grants. I think there was $1 million in the open. Was it in the open space or the town fund? And I think it was in the town fund. There is no $1 million in grants, and then so it affected the whole budget because they budgeted based on those figures. So before the November meeting, that really has to be looked at carefully, and I'm looking for people to help.
Down the accountant.
I just went to look at something else.
So really to look at that more finally. We wanted to look at it earlier in that budget, that June, July, but now I think we have a good sense of many of the things that are needed and how the rest of the year is going to play out.
But we also have to look through that budget and see, knowing that we might end up with some sort of a loan to finish this building, how much money can we squeeze out of the budget the way it sits right now to service a 10-year loan if we go there?
Right.
And knowing, like, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if we had a $300,000 loan for 10 years, what does that monthly note look like? So we know how much we need to try to find in the budget to service that. Because personally, I've looked at this thing, we've all have, I know, we've all been very diligent about it. But that's the only way I see us getting over this hill, is with a loan. And, so it would be nice to know up front, if we were to take a $300,000 loan, and then we still have to find, a couple hundred more $1,000s, but also, we'd be servicing that over 10 years by taking so much in our budget and sequestering that, right at the outset. So.
And I think one of the other things that we may be doing is, and I'll be reaching out to each of you individually too, is maybe just scheduling an additional meeting where all we do is talk about
Like
civics.
committee of the whole, or
Yes,
workshop.
some kind of a workshop
I like that idea.
where we have these figures that Trustee Melody's going to help me with.
Can't wait.
and we look at these options that maybe one other person could take and fine tune, and then looking at the actual civic center and what are the actual costs that we could maybe contact some of the contractors and get a better feel, because just for example, the septic system wasn't designed to handle the waste from a full-service kitchen. So we would have to be looking at what is the cost of that. is the fire suppression system going to need to be changed? So maybe we have somebody that pulls together some of those figures to help us out with that. I think there's somebody who wants maybe will help with that. Anyway, so moving on. So our next, I think you put in here for our next steps, confirm any remaining project earnings, initiate grant partner discussions. We've been talking to the Conservation Foundation to see if they have any ideas. We need to talk to our local representatives to see if there's even any membership money available. Right now, it's probably this week is, I don't know, I haven't heard what's happening. Watch the news with the federal shutdown. Anything moving there?
Nothing today.
Okay. And then, like, actually talking to the banks and seeing what's there. And then the bond question, I think, is a very tough one. Probably a first choice for us. So, moving on, for new business, I didn't really have anything. I did want to give an update before we go on. Is Accessville County. Somebody tonight just asked me about rides for seniors. We are working with, we belong to the Central Region for PACE for the dial ride service, and we are working with Will County and other townships to join the Accessville County program. And we've had some contract or IGA discussions, but that's not finished yet, and hopefully that'll come before the board in November, because we would like to have that in place in 2026. And other than that, does anyone have anything that they want to bring up under new business?
No.
Okay, next month our meeting is not the second Monday of the month because we have a township conference that I am looking forward to going to, because I need to hear from other townships what they're doing. And some of the trustees, and the clerk is attending. So we moved our meeting to November 17th. So if you want to make a note of that. And other than that, I don't have anything else. So I guess I could entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Trustee Melody, Trustee Gray.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned at 7:52.
Okay, and I have to